Hello. So this week I've been in the studio working on my Ramschackles paintings, and specifically I have been working on the collage aspects and adding collage to them. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. In a minute I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to share with you how I've been going about it and why I do it, really, as a way of explaining a little bit more about the practice of collage and how I incorporate it into my work. Before I do that, I just wanted to mention that hopefully some of these paintings are going to make it with me to the Borders Art Fair, which is on the borders of Scotland in the UK, and that's in the middle of March. And so if you want to know more about that, maybe sign up for some tickets, then please do make sure that you're signed up to my newsletter, and I'll put a link to that in the notes. And also associated with collage, I'm developing a new online course which is called Your Collage Compositions, which hopefully will be released in the spring. So if you're interested in that, then I'll put a link to sign up to the wait list. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera around. So this is one of my larger pieces, and it's just had one layer of paint. And this was started by some gestural charcoal drawings, the remnants of some of it you can see, and then a sort of muted darker palette, if you like, used to form this first layer. And now what I'm going to be doing is putting the collage on, and this is a very random process at this stage. So as you can see, I am using a variety of different sizes of pieces of paper, different colours, different patterns. I'm trying to put different ones adjacent to each other so you get that variety and that contrast. I've got different sizes of pattern. But beyond that, I'm trying at this stage not to get too thinky about it. I am just placing them and sticking them so that subsequently I have something to work with. And that's all very well, but why am I going through this process of adding the collage in this way? And so I'm going to share with you a number of the pieces of work I have where I've added this layer of collage, including the big one that you see at the top, which was the one that you saw me actually physically working on. And the first thing I want to say is that one of the key reasons, or the key reason for adding collage, is to add this variety, and I'm going to go in close so that you can see this variety of texture and pattern and mark through the papers. And for me, in creating abstract works, I'm not trying to recreate a view, a single view. I'm not trying to be representational. I'm trying to create a feel for these places. And in this case, it's the Ramschackles, and they are old, battered, falling down buildings with lots of layers of peeling paint and wood and brick and so on. And so through the use of the collage, and I will share a link in the notes to the video where I showed how I created some of these papers. Hopefully you can see in the way I'm going across the paintings, you can see the variety of texture and pattern in these papers and how they contribute to the richness. And although at the moment they're very busy, obviously over the layers that I'm going to create of paint and maybe even more collage, that will change and evolve. But for now, this richness of pattern and texture is important in creating the feel of the Ramschackles. And then if I just go down onto the floor, you can see some of the smaller panels. I'm sorry about the state of the floor, but you can see again, hopefully, this pattern and texture of the paper, which is adding this to this richness and this feel. Now, another reason why I'm using the papers in this way, and you know, in this sort of randomness in some respects, although in others there's more of an order to it, as I think you can see when I'm pulling back on this big painting in particular. But another reason is that I'm actively trying to shake things up a bit. I am trying to create the magic, the unusual things that happen when you add papers and randomly in this way. And it gives you something to hang your hat on in a way, and it puts the cat amongst the pigeons, to coin a phrase. And even over here, once now I've added this and some of the angles of the papers, gives you that sort of sense of the ramshackles and something to work with. Similarly, in this one here, albeit as muddled as it is, there's some sense of things that I could work with. So these lines here, for example, could, you know, kind of give the impression of the roofs, and they're all at different sort of angles, and I've got this big piece that's already in the paint, so it gives that kind of feel. And so it's already, and the verticals are giving me perhaps some impression of walls without them actually being the walls. So I think that the collage is providing, and again, this is, you know, sort of cut out hoops from tissue paper. Well, it's actually napkins that have circles, and you start to get a feel and sort of an impression. And so that's another, you know, sort of reason I use the collage, because it shakes things up. It gives me some opportunity to make something of some of these happy accidents. Another reason I'm using the papers, and especially the ones that have text in them, some of it handwriting, some of it stencil, and there's more handwriting there, some of it from old books, and it gives the opportunity to tell the story and to tell some of the stories behind the work. And I'm using that as part of that sort of abstractness as well. They're buried, yet you see glimpses of them. And for me, the story of these fishermen huts is so important. It is all about the deindustrialisation of the north of England, would you believe? The fishermen's huts were used by fishermen, especially in Skinning Grove, you can see the name here on the northeast coast, by workers that used to part-time work out on the boats and come back with their lobster catches, but also part-time in the iron ore and steel industries. And subsequently, the deindustrialisation process that happened from the 70s and 80s onwards meant the decline of these places, yet these fishing huts sit in the landscape as these remnants. And so to be able to tell some of the story of that in the actual painting, in the words and in the text, in some of the materials, is part of what I'm trying to do here. And if you see this paper here, came from fish and chip wrappers, very pertinent to what the fishing huts, what they were all about for the fishermen. And then this here, small lobsters, blooming special. So it's that being able to tell some of that story as part of the painting that's important in my work, at least, as well. Maybe not for others, but that is certainly something for me. Another reason for me using collage, which I think is really important actually, is the way that you can layer over and then peel away and add paint, and you get this depth and layering happening in the paintings. Not so much, it's just starting now, but not so much yet because I've only just added this first layer. But nevertheless, you can, I think, see what's already happening, and this idea of the layers of material. In the case of the Ramschackles, it's that over time these huts have been repaired and new material has been laid on and paint is peeling off, and you get that whole sense of the history through this layering. It's almost like the layering and the physical materiality of the painting is a metaphor for those layers of history that have developed and evolved over time. And the final reason I use collage in this way is that it gives a great opportunity for me to tell my story and for individuality, because I'm creating quite a few of these papers, or if I'm not creating them, I'm collecting them, I'm gathering them from my travels. And in that way, it gives, in my view, an edge to my mixed media work, and creates a uniqueness through that opportunity for having my hand in all of the papers. So I hope that's been helpful. I'd love to hear your comments, and I will catch you next time. So thanks a lot. Bye bye.